Basic Beginner's Guitar, Perfect Timing, A Focused Approach, Book 1. This is, see if I get better at this, Lesson 2, Part 2, okay? Hey, that was pretty good. I think I got that right. So, where are we? We are on, should be on page 13. I was just getting ready to launch into where it said some review and some new information before we move on and start play by reading music. I think I paused at that point. So that what I just said being the case, so this is new information is kind of with regard to frequently used terms. Okay, I'm kind of just reading off page 13. You'll recall the earlier section on tuning. See page 2. If you go back, you'll see page 2. I'll kind of hold that up there while I'm reading a little bit. You'll look at that thing. Looking at page 2, the drawing shows your instrument's neck and strings where the string note names are shown, and it's important to know that while each string is known by its note name, they're also referred to in two other ways. And that would be what we're going to get into here first. And this is also shown on page 2. They are called by string numbers. String 1, string 2, string 3, or first, second, or third string, etc. And then always remember the smallest string is string 1, okay? Up here, let's see, string 1, smallest string, okay? I'm gonna kind of put that down, smallest string. You see the gauge differences, okay? So that's string 1, the little skinny one, okay? And then the next one increasing in size is string 2 and so on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Finally, finally, the other way to refer to the strings is the top string and bottom string. This gets confused, I think, by people a lot. Just remember the top string is the same as the first, or string 1, or the smallest string. And you can also remember that the first string or top string is the highest pitched. So tell me which is the highest pitch. You would think first is going to either be this one or this one side or the other, right? So first versus this. Well, that's the highest pitched, right? Okay, so that's the first string, or even the top string. I think my thought is the reason that people confuse it is the top string. If you're here or here, you're thinking, oh, this is down and this is up, so this is the top, but that's wrong. Okay. The top string is the little string, the high E. The bottom string is the big fat low E string, okay? The heavier gauge one. And so, you can see the picture on the following page for help with this information. And you can kind of just look at that. Kind of a lot of arrows running around, but kind of just lays that out. How we refer to the strings, okay? And these little guys are saying, which was that? What's going on? What did I have them say? Which string's the highest? Oh, it's a poem. Which string is the highest? Which string is the low? Which string is the third one? Do you know? Okay. You should. As a poem by myself. Pitiful. Okay, recall previous page that the first or top string is the highest pitched string. For this reason, the top and bottom strings are also sometimes referred to as the high and low strings, okay? That's sort of shown above there again. Look at your page. I'll keep this page 2 handy. As we continue, page 15, more information. When you play any string with your right hand using your pick or fingers, and don't touch, I can say that right, using a pick or your fingers or a thumb pick, as we talked about before, and you don't touch the string with your left hand at all. Not touching it. So playing these strings this way, that's referred to as open. Okay, playing it open. And these are all just terms. I know this gets a little like a bunch of just definitions basically, but they're going to be important so that we can, again, as I said way early, so that we can kind of just speak guitar, and you know what I'm talking about. And you're going, what did he mean by the open string? So okay. So seeing the drawings there, pretty basically showing one is fingered there and one is kind of picked open, bling bling, right? It's making, as you pick them, you're either, oh, and it's either considered fretted or stopped. They call it stopped, okay? I'm fretting the 5th fret on the 2nd string there. It's called fretting it. Or you don't hear that as often as stopping. When people play 2 notes, a lot of times, oh, here I'll go into country music. Uh-oh, having a little trouble. Technical difficulties. We'll just leave it there. Trying to make it sound a little more country-ish, but things like this. So I'm playing 2. They call that double stopping. So double meaning 2 strings. Okay. So stopping the string or the note. It's you won't hear that a whole lot really. Just called fretting it or fingering the strings, the note, the fret. Okay. So next, it's important to know which finger you should use for each fret. And so we will say your thumb has really no number, although people do use that occasionally. You'll see people doing this, you know, coming over the top of the neck with their thumb. I never do that. Just the nature of my hand, and I injured my thumb years back, and it's a good thing I hadn't gotten used to that, because it would have caused me trouble, because it feels a little funny now. But thankfully I can still, you know, I can still play most of what I could play, all of what I could do before. Really, I was pretty fortunate there. But so thumb's not numbered, but the fingers are: index is 1, middle is 2, ring is 3, pinky is 4. Can you do that? Try that. Can you do that without watch? Keep your ring finger perfectly still and bring your index or your pinky down. It's kind of difficult. It's called sympathetic movement. So your ring finger wants to move with your pinky. That also happens here when you're playing. So you get into that way in the future maybe, or in another series. But as you notice, your ring and your pinky do kind of want to move together. So anyway, let's move on. So and they are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, as I said. And you'll need to know that as we learn the notes and how they're pictured on the neck for chords or note explanations, okay, and for chord diagrams. Okay, this page, CS1. So we're kind of moding over into what I said, I think last lesson, not to get bored, because we're going to, take a little side trip, or break off into another area of guitar in addition to the reading and playing single notes from sheet music, and that is chords and strumming. So this is kind of the introduction to chords and strumming, in parentheses there, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 1, 2, 3 on 4. And so I'm just going to read again here. As we learn about your instrument and written music, we also want to learn about chords and strumming first. Let's look at some basic chords, the G, C, and D chords. Okay, that's coming up. My page title above, 1, 2, 3 on 4, is just a way to remember what we're learning here. These first 3 chords will be played on 4 strings, the first, second, third, and fourth, and you will notice the first chord, a G, we use 1 finger. The second one, a C, we use 2 fingers, and the third one, D, we use 3 fingers. Okay. With regard to strumming them, at first we will use the most basic strum pattern, which is simply strumming the four strings downward. Okay. Once you're holding these chords, and these are basic abbreviated chords. That's a G, that's a C, that's a D. We'll get into that. But they're also, the D is the same, but when they're not abbreviated, they're full chords. They'll be like the C as opposed to this. And you're only playing 4 strings when it's abbreviated. You play 5 if it's full. And a G, you can play 4 strings with 1 finger down, but a full chord, all 6 strings. There's more to it, okay? So that downstroking, something important, a symbol in musical notation for a downstroke, as it says here, is this little mark, and upstroke explains this little mark here, okay? So my little face is drawn there where it says important. Note about strumming that, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, okay? and those are the notations for that in the music, but you'll see these above the music staff sometimes as a help with picking and strumming. They refer to it when they're strumming chords or picking. Early we will just do downward strokes, even just picking single notes. Hopefully you can see my right hand here. I'm just going down. But then we'll graduate to what they call, gee whiz, like sweep picking, but basically just up and down picking. Hopefully you can see that, what I'm doing. Right hand. Down, down, yeah, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the three chords. They are G, C, and D, as I said. The small O's indicate the string is being played open. These are, these little fellas here, okay? O's, and then the X's mean that they are not to be played. And if you remember, this is why we stressed it's important to know what the nut is. This is the nut. These are the 6 strings of your guitar, and then however many frets you need to show the chord. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4 frets will be shown. So, okay. So noting that the small O's indicate the strings played open, and the X's are that they don't play it. Okay. Second thing to note is the numbers are in the circles tell you which finger to use. Okay, and the circles are placed on which position you put them in. Okay. So strum the 4 strings indicated, the first 4, but also pluck each one individually to be sure they're ringing nicely. If they aren't, adjust your finger positions until they are. So that's kind of a big deal. Let's just do that. So if you have with the G, it's going to be easy. 4 strings, and you're just holding this down. So 3rd fret, 3rd finger, 1st string. Playing the top 4, and then a C, top 4 again. I'm on, my hand will be a little bit odd so you can see where I am. It's not necessarily the best hand position, we'll go over that later, but the C chord is the C note, the 2nd string, 1st fret, and then you play all 4 strings. Uh-oh. And that uh-oh was for just what I was trying to show you. You can hear some buzziness, or like if I happen to let this finger hit this 1st string, it might go. You don't want that, so you have to adjust your finger a little. Okay, or part of it might hit the next string down. You have, yeah, that doesn't sound good either. So you have to, it takes some doing. And then as it does get a little harder, the D chord, still top 4 strings, but it's done as shown there. 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger. And look at your little diagram there, upper right of the page. Strum that. And now pick them individually to make sure they're all ringing good. The D string, G string, B string, E string. Okay, you'll probably be getting a little buzzing like on the, because your 3rd finger kind of touching the E string here. I want to kind of make that not happen, okay? Whew, getting short on my time here, but that's all important stuff, and that we're starting to get into things that are a little more difficult for your physically, technically, with your hand. Not so much what you have to think about as far as reading or anything, but it does get to be it is a practicing thing to get to where you're comfortable, and you don't want to squeeze the things to where your fingers are red and white there from pressure. Okay, blood's running out of them. I'm only squeezing as hard as I have to make that chord sound. Okay, so okay, need to move on to the next video, and we'll start with this 3rd note about things. Okay, alrighty, hop on over there. See you there.